Hi everyone. I hope all you guys are doing good. And within this session of our today's video, I would be covering ATP policy with save links and save attachments. And just before we get on with this topic, let me introduce myself with you. So my name is Rizwan, and I am one of the senior consultants working here within Alif Consulting. And let's quickly get started with our video of ATP policy, wherein we would be covering these topics. So what is ATP? What is Advanced Threat Protection? So this one is an add-on plan which comes up with Office 365 services, wherein Office 365 in some years literally realized that along with the filtering services which it provides you with the Exchange Online protection as an EOP or as a filtering services, this thing was being separately deployed just to be able to make your organization more secure and more email centric. And how you can get it done is by implementing all these policies. So when we talk about advanced threat protection, specifically with safe links or safe attachments, so that has been a new era wherein the spammers or the people's making their victims realize that many of them, it could be far easier that if Office 365 or the other filtering services have started closely working on phishing the content or spying the content by manipulating with the DNS trackers, which has some or the other loopholes. So at that level or that context, Microsoft came up with the ATP policies. Now what does this policy exactly does? What it does is it has two separate or two distinct policies, that is the safe links policy and the safe attachment policy. The job of this policies is to be able to check if there's any attachment coming through or going out that needs to be scanned up, so that any malicious activity found within that attachment, that can be triggered, and the necessary action could be taken against the policy, as if whatever the action is being defined into the policy, whether to quarantine that email or what needs to be done with that email, so that it gets triggered to the notified person, and that necessary person would then be the deciding factors if what needs to be or how it needs to be taken care with such of the incident being getting reported. Similar is safe links. Now what is safe links? Yes, anyone would try to uh, send any fishy link or any suspicious link which you think that if someone tries to click on that link, and it would redirect you to a certain page which could capture all your details in over here. So it has its own container, the 365 Defender portal. So what it does is there it generates in a list of all these URLs, and if that URL, the one which is supposed to be getting and received to you in an email body, in a file, or in any such thing, like whether it may be a doc file, a video, or any such thing which would be a part of OneDrive or SharePoint or Teams, so automatically it would be searching, the policy would be searching against it and would be taking the necessary action. So we are going to closely look on that, as if how those policies gets in configured in the real time with the graphical user interface on the portal itself, and that would be giving you a quick glimpse of that to be able to understand that what are these settings which can be configured into the policy itself, and how does it looks like, and how that the policy works at the back end. So when we say about the ATP, there are also two different types of products in over here. So this is additionally an advanced license, and as per that, it also gets included with Azure ATP as well as the Defender ATP. So whenever you would see in the malware activity, so it is not always the one which comes up with the Defender portal, but yes, would also be coming would also come up with the Azure ATP plan as well. Okay. Now ATP can be associated with how many licenses. So by default you'd be getting the ATP included in an enterprise plan E5 only. Okay, whether it is an E5 or a business plan or an E5 only, after that you'll actually be able to see the advanced threat protection column. Let me quickly show you that. uh, just because I have that portal handy with me. So if I open this on an exchange portal, that would be outlook.office365.com and slash ECP. Probably it is not going to open it because I've entered an incorrect URL. Let me check if that, oh, but it still redirected me. So you see this tab, advanced threat, that contains the safe attachments and safe links. So if I would be having a license that is on E5, so I will quickly check to billing your products. You can get it checked up over here or here. So these are the level of licenses which I have been associated with my portal. So see this, security plus E5 or an E5. I have an E3 and an E5 license. So by default, I'd be getting this built in or pre-installed with the E5 license, and that is the reason I'm able to see this tab over here. That is advanced threats. Okay, walking back through the portal again. So yes, you'd be getting this built in with this, but yes, if you do not have this, you can still get this as a standalone license. Now when I say standalone, yes, you can purchase this subscription as a standalone, as a separate license, and you can get it linked with any one of the service plans, whether it is a plan one of Exchange Online, a plan 2, a kiosk and Exchange Online EOP filtering services. You can also get this. So this is just, a filtering services plan. So many of the people who have their mailboxes on the on-premises organization and they do not have their own filtering services, so they purchase this subscription, the Exchange Online protection, and they point their MX record to Office 365. So with the help of it, all the records or all the filtering is actually taken care by Microsoft. You can get this associated with Essentials, the Business Essentials, the Business Premium, or with these two licenses, E1, E3, and all these licenses. So being you would be purchasing this as a standalone license, you can easily walk it away through any of the licenses in short. Okay, now what are the features or what does ATP includes with its functionality? So when we say ATP, again it is advanced threat protection, and the very first two things which it would be containing with itself is the safe attachments and safe links. But along with it, if you would going to purchase the complete package of it, it would also be coming up with the anti-phishing policies. You'd be able to get the real-time reportings. You'd be able to keep a threat trackers. I'll show you these options. Okay, then that would be threat investigation, automatic incident response, and attack simulator. So attack simulator is still being under the provisioning status state, wherein it would just be giving you the information similar to secure code, and it would be deploying all its applications over here on the basis of UI. It would be not UI, I'm sorry, the artificial intelligence. It is being still preliminary, and it is still under progress, I'd say. So in over here we'd be quickly talking about the safe attachment. So whenever there would be an attachment in over here, so that attachment would basically be getting in scanned, and on the basis of that, if there's any potential virus or a malware or a suspicious activity within that attachment itself, irrespective of whatever it is going to be marked as a suspicious attachment, and on the basis of the action, whatever the policy has defined, the action is going to taken into the consideration. So you can get it done for entire platforms like OneDrive, Exchange, SharePoint, or you can get it done on a standalone application itself like SharePoint, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams, and it would be able to detect this and block these files for you. Similar to that would be the ATP Safe Links, and within this Safe Links feature and functionality in over here, again it says in that it would be looking in for the malicious URLs in the message or in an Office document. So whether you would be sending an email across, and within your email, whether it is the subject line, it is the email body, if you're trying to send up any link, okay, definitely it should be a hyperlink. Only after that it would be able to scan you out, because only once it gets in created as a hyperlink, so I'll hover my mouse and it should be creating it should be redirecting me to that link with the help of a web browser. So it has to be a link in over there, and if that link gets marked as a malicious or a suspicious email, then it would be getting in blocked. And what are the options in order to manipulate with these settings, we'll be checking that in the safe links policy. So by default it is, the links are being available for the URLs. If you see it over here, automatically it keeps in a track of good URLs and bad URLs, and on the basis of that it creates in a reputation, and that is all being kept away with Microsoft services, with Microsoft Defender services, and only on the basis of that it is going to track those and block or allow those emails or documents, if it gets scanned accordingly as per the policy. Key features of advanced threat protection, as again it is again the same thing in over here, but one thing which gets added to that, as including safe attachments and safe link, is the spoof intelligence. Now again, this feature is completely taken into consideration for artificial intelligence. Anti-phishing is still being a good capillary hand with the spam filter policies like content filtering, IP filtering, and spam filtering, and all these options. But when it goes with spoof intelligence, it is completely being based on artificial intelligence. At the end of the session, we'll just have a quick walkthrough on all these settings, as of where they are being actually deployed into the compliance and the security portal. Okay, and the last one, it gets an easily synchronized or associated with services as SharePoint, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams. These are the key features of advanced threat protection. That will be all from my side for this session, and let me give you a quick glimpse of that by walking you through all these policies in over here. So I've already been onto this portal of safe links and safe attachments. So if we'll be getting in started with safe attachments, I'm sorry, safe links. So I've already created in one of the test policy, which whose status is right now being set to turned off. So we have all these options in over here, the description of the policy, users and domains. So if you click on this option, it would be giving us the option as if which users you would like to include for this safe link policy. So for only those specific users, the policy would actually get triggered. There's also a thing called as exclude. Let's say if you have some of users, if I'll not be specifying any user in over here, by default it would be getting and applied to all my users within the organization. And for some of it, let's say if I would be adding the same user in over here, keeping this tab blank, which means that the policy, the safe link policy, would be getting and applied to all of my users except this user whose name I have been mentioned into the users list. It could be a user, it could be a group, or it could also be a domain in over here. So for those stuff, the policy would be applied, or for those stuff, the policy would be getting and excluded. This is what these tabs says. Now these are the protection settings. Okay, I'll just click on this option, which would be giving you an in-depth understanding of that. So select the action for unknown potentially malicious URLs in the messages. So when it says message, so these options are only available for email purposes, and these options in over here are just applicable for Microsoft Teams only. A message could be delivered to you for Exchange, SharePoint, and OneDrive. But for this thing in over here, if you see, if I quickly turn this on, what this is going to do is URLs would be rewritten and checked against a list of known malicious links. Meaning, if I am entering, if someone is trying to send me an email, and if the link is, the hyperlink is www.google.com, so Office, when it comes to Office 365, when it comes to this policy, the safe links policy, what it is going to do is it is simply going to rewrite that URL. So it could make it as www.google-a, google-b, or any of the syntax which is being supported by Microsoft 365 safe links policy. The reason being, even let's say if there would be a malicious URL, once it rewrites it, then it would be checking that same list of URL into its own database, and if it finds it to be a safe URL, it is going to get it processed and act accordingly. But if not, what needs to be done with that? So simply that URL would be directly blocked, and you'll not be able to click on that link. Maybe if you click on it, it would get rewritten, and it would say you that you were not allowed to access this URL because it contains malicious content. And as per that, you see, if there are any URLs for which you think it is coming from your own website, you are the owner for that website, or any such URLs where you have placed some content for some storage content, whether it may be an internal URL or an external URL, you would simply be entering that URL in over here, as if I have entered google.com. So whenever google.com's link would be coming through, Office 365 is never going to rewrite that URL as per this policy. Apart from that, you have all these options available in over here. Let's say if I would be enabling and turn this on, apply real-time URL scanning for suspicious links. That is, but you see this, that is being grayed out. So even if you would turn this on or turn this not, you see that is getting turned on. So by default, these two options gets enabled. Real-time scanning is enabled. Wait for the URL scanning. Till the time it takes its own time, it is not going to allow you to be able to access that URL. Do not track users click. So let's say I've opened that one single message, and within that one single message, if I've just clicked in one time, so it would also keep a track that how many times the URL was actually accessed. Let's say if I've opened the email single time, but I've clicked on that URL like 5 times, so it would also keep a record of how many times the URL was actually accessed. Okay, do not let users click through on the original URL. So what does this means is that even if I'll click on that, if this option is checked in over here, and if I'll click on that URL which would be coming in through the email body, so what it is going to do is it is going to create a rewrite and create its own URL, and that would not be the original URL, so that with that way, even if there would be any malicious content on that URL, I would not be able to get access to it if I'd be clicking on this option. Okay, if you want to have a display organization branding or notification and warning process, you simply need to check this box, and it is going to give you the brandings of your organization and whatever warning you set it up for that. These are all the options which are being provided to us onto these settings. Okay, and this would be the notification settings. Whatever options, use the default notification or use a custom notification. If you turn it on, whichever stuff you would be entering it up over here, that would be getting and displayed once that gets triggered. So this is all in over here about the ATP Safe Links policy. This is it. Now when we talk about the safe attachment policy, so safe attachment policy is quite different when it is being compared with the safe links. So it was just focusing on the links part. This one would be focusing only on the attachment parts, and this attachments can either be on an email or OneDrive or SharePoint or any such thing. So by default, if you find any such suspicious content in the attachments which is detected as a malware, by default it is going to block it. Many of the time what people tend to do is they set it to dynamic delivery. So let's say if there's any attachment and the email and some content within the email body, so what it does is Office 365 delivers two emails to you. The first email would just be delivering the body part. It would not going to deliver, it is not going to deliver you the attachment part. The attachment, it would say that the attachment is still getting scanned. Once the scanning is done, we are going to send you that attachment email as well, and with this way it sends out two emails for the same sender if it is containing any such attachments. So many of the people tend to keep that option depending on what compliance policy the organization has kept or what not. If you simply select this option, it is simply going to skip, and it is not going to scan the safe attachments. If you're going to select the monitor option, it is going to deliver the message if malware is detected and track scanning results, meaning if it is going to deliver the message with that attachment itself, but yes, it would be keeping a close track on it as if you know what that malware was, and automatically at the back end it is going to track it and share the results for that. So many a times people tend to use either the block option, which is the default option, or the dynamic delivery option. But let's say if you would be using this option which says replace, it is going to block the attachment with malware detected, but it is actually going to deliver the message, meaning that it itself would, if malware is detected, it is going to replace that, but it is going to be of no use. The message is going to get delivered, but the content within that attachment which was there, if it gets tracked as a malware, it is going to just replace it. Now how this the replacement is done is by changing the extension and the file content, so that it removes the malware part from it, and then it gets the message to be delivered to the recipient. Now what? Let's say this is the actioning part. If your content is being triggered or marked as blocked, now what to do with those messages? You see this policy, admin policy, default policy, or notifications. If it is just being notification enabled, it would give you the notification. But if it would be these policies in over here, what it would do is it would redirect the message. So for that actual email would be sent to the person who would be, whose email address would be listed in over here. So whoever person who would be listed in over here, the redirection message would be sent to that person. You see, send messages that contains blocked, monitored, or replaced. So any of these options you would be selecting, all of them entry is going to come here onto this person's mailbox. This is how it works. And if you would be using this, so it would be scanning it and apply the safe attachments detection responsive scanning can't complete timeout. So what does this means is that even if there are some applications for some attachments, it could may take some time. So what it says is that even if it takes time and if it returns up with some errors, just apply the safe attachments detection to that. Detection is a different thing, and scanning this with these sets of rule is a different thing. Okay, so these are the two options which goes up with the within ATP, that is the safe links and the safe attachment policy. And in the previous section where it was talking about anti-phishing policies, so those options are just being available up over here, which completely comes up with the AI, the artificial intelligence in over here. If this portal gives you the option to be able to open this application or the stuff pretty quick, I would just be sharing you as if how does the anti-phishing policy looks alike. Let this get open. It usually takes some time to be able to open these things. And these are the policies of anti-spam. So this entire portal, you see, this one, mail flow, uh, not mail flow, I'm sorry, protection, malware filter, connection filter, outbound spam, everything has been redirected to this page that is called as anti-spam. You see, this one actually is still getting loaded, both of it actually. Let me check. If it takes some time, maybe I can go ahead and pause this video if it is going to take too much amount of time. So I believe it's getting loaded because this information has just came up. Just to show you all these options as if what actually contains, because this anti-phishing policy is still explicitly used by the ATP filtering services, and you can consider it to be a part of ATP as well. But primarily if we speak on ATP, it is the most important use for that is the safe links and the safe attachments part. But anything apart from there for these things, oh, I was able to use this. So this is the default policy over here, if you see in, which is actually always turned on. So if I click on this option, hope this one gets enabled real quick. You can see how slow it is. It is not upon the bandwidth section because I have a very good internet connection in over here. It is just that it takes in, because for many of the old portals I have seen that these guys get errors when they try to access all of these threat policy portals and stuff. So if you see this, the word itself says mailbox intelligence, spoof intelligence. If these things are being turned on up over here, by default what it means is that it would completely be aligning the artificial intelligence. So all these things are based on artificial intelligence, wherein it would be taking the inputs from the level of headers or patterns which gets in matched with the email, and accordingly it is going to get it applied. So this is still under consideration, where people have complained on these things have tried to deliver the emails in a false positive kind of a manner, that people were expecting those emails to be getting and delivered to their inboxes, but those emails were detected as fish or spam, and just because of that the emails either got delivered to the junk mailboxes or it got delivered to their quarantine, whichever action which was being set as per the policy. So that would be all from my side. I still have a couple of more videos to be getting in created for this one, which would specifically be talking about spam filter policies. So within that section, we are going to cover this. So this anti-phishing policy was still a part of ATP, which we've easily covered up in over here. If you would be having any doubts, queries, or questions info here, feel free to contact me on info@alifconsulting.com, and I would be more than happy enough to help you on that. That is all from my side for this session. Okay, as we've already concluded this session. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much for listening to me, and that is it. You guys take care of yourself and you stay safe. Have a good day. Bye bye.